Spiritual awakening isn't all peace, light, and endless calm. It's raw, disorienting, and often lonely. The moment you wake up, your entire perception of life begins to shift. What once made sense starts to dissolve. The world that once felt familiar becomes foreign. You see through illusion, and that clarity comes with a cost. No one tells you that awakening isn't about escaping pain, but about feeling it all. It strips away false identities, exposes buried wounds, and demands the death of who you thought you were. You don't just gain awareness, you lose comfort, certainty, and belonging. Yet these struggles are sacred. They're not signs of failure, they're proof that your soul is evolving, that your old self is collapsing to make room for something higher. In this video, we'll explore 6 unexpected things spiritually awake people struggle with, the hidden battles behind enlightenment that few ever talk about. Because awakening isn't the end of the journey, it's the beginning of a deeper one. Subscribe to Motivation Guru. Join the Guru Clan, where we strip away illusion, master solitude, and rise above the noise of a sleeping world. 1. Feeling detached from the world they once loved. Spiritual awakening is not a gentle process, it's a rupture in perception. The moment your consciousness expands, everything you once called normal begins to lose its meaning. The noise that once entertained you, movies, gossip, social media, trends, starts to feel empty. You begin to see through it all, and that vision changes everything. The truth is, awakening doesn't make you better than the world. It simply makes you aware of it. You start noticing how most people live in a trance, chasing validation, numbing pain, mistaking distraction for purpose. What used to excite you now feels hollow because you can finally see the illusion beneath the surface. The games of ego, the endless competition, the constant need for approval, all of it becomes transparent. At first, that detachment feels liberating. You feel lighter, wiser, untouchable, but soon it turns into isolation. You look around and realize you no longer belong to the world you once loved. The same conversations drain you. The same entertainment bores you. You crave depth in a world addicted to noise. This is one of the most painful parts of awakening. Realizing that your joy no longer comes from the same places. You can't unsee what you've seen. You can't unknow what you now know. The illusion loses its grip, and with it, so does your attachment to comfort. But this detachment isn't loss, it's purification. The universe is stripping away what no longer nourishes your soul. It's removing the artificial flavors of life so you can taste the real essence of being. You're not becoming cold, you're becoming clear. You're not losing passion, you're finding purpose. The awakened often confuse this stage with depression, but it's not sadness, it's spiritual sobriety. You're waking up from the intoxication of illusion. The highs and lows of worldly pleasures don't move you the same way because you've started to crave something real, something eternal. It's like stepping out of a theater mid-scene and realizing the movie was never real, only light and shadow on a screen. You can still appreciate its beauty, but you no longer mistake it for truth. The detachment is necessary. Without it, you can't see clearly. Without stepping back, you can't discern what's genuine. This is how the soul matures, by learning to find fulfillment, not in stimulation, but in stillness. So when you feel distant from the world, don't rush to fill the silence. Don't chase what no longer resonates just to feel normal. Instead, honor the space between who you were and who you're becoming. That emptiness is sacred. It's the clearing where your higher purpose will grow. Eventually, you'll learn to walk in the world again, not as part of its illusion, but as a witness of its truth. You'll enjoy beauty without attachment. You'll engage without being consumed. You'll love without losing yourself. Because detachment isn't about rejecting the world. It's about remembering you were never of it. 2. Outgrowing relationships without wanting to. One of the hardest lessons on the spiritual path isn't letting go of the world. It's letting go of the people in it. You don't plan for it. You don't wake up one day and decide to walk away. It happens quietly, gradually, as your vibration shifts and your soul evolves. You begin to see it in the little things first. Conversations that used to feel natural now drain you. Jokes that once made you laugh now feel shallow. Arguments that once pulled you in now seem pointless. The energy no longer matches, and no matter how much you love them, something deep inside you starts to pull away. This is the unspoken pain of awakening, outgrowing people you still care about. You don't stop loving them, you just stop resonating with them. It's not rejection, it's realignment. Your energy is recalibrating, and anything that doesn't match your new frequency begins to fall away. You'll try to hold on at first. You'll shrink yourself to fit old spaces, forcing the same conversations, revisiting the same habits, pretending the connection is still there. But it never feels the same, because it's not. Your soul is evolving faster than your surroundings can follow. And that's the moment heartbreak turns into awareness. You realize that spiritual growth often demands emotional distance. The higher you rise, the thinner the air becomes, and not everyone can breathe at your altitude. Some will misunderstand your silence. Others will accuse you of changing. And they're right, you did. You became more conscious, more aware, more awake. But this isn't abandonment. It's ascension. You're not walking away in pride. You're walking forward in truth. The connections that fall away are not losses, they're releases. Energy always seeks balance, and when your frequency shifts, the universe naturally rearranges who and what stays in your orbit. It's painful, yes, because some of the people you lose are the ones you never wanted to. They were part of your story, part of your past self, but you can't build your future with pieces of your old identity. The more you cling, the heavier your spirit becomes. Letting go doesn't mean you stop caring. It means you stop compromising your peace to maintain bonds that were built on old versions of you. It means you honor the truth that love can exist even in separation, that real connection doesn't require constant closeness. As your awareness expands, you'll start attracting new souls, those who match your new vibration, people who speak your language without words, who don't drain your energy but amplify it, conversations that nourish you instead of deplete you, stillness that feels like home instead of emptiness. This is the realignment, losing what's false to make room for what's true. It's okay to grieve the distance. It's okay to miss people you've outgrown. But understand that spiritual maturity often means walking alone for a season. Not because you're broken, but because you're being rebuilt. You will reach a point where love no longer means attachment, where connection doesn't require compromise, where you can love deeply without losing your direction. That's the paradox of awakening. the more detached you become, the more real your love grows. So when relationships begin to fade, don't chase. Don't force alignment where resonance no longer exists. Simply bless the connection for what it was and continue to rise. Because the higher your frequency, the fewer people you'll find at your level, but the purer the connections will be when you do. And that's the quiet beauty of awakening, realizing that every soul who leaves simply makes space for the ones who are meant to walk the next part of the journey with you. 3. Carrying deep empathy that becomes overwhelming. When you awaken spiritually, your perception widens, and so does your sensitivity. You begin to feel everything. The joy of others, the pain beneath their smiles, the unspoken tension in a room. You walk through the world with your heart wide open, and that openness becomes both your gift and your burden. Empathy is sacred, but without mastery it becomes heavy. You start absorbing energy like a sponge, taking on emotions that were never yours. Someone's sadness lingers in your chest. A stranger's anxiety follows you home. Even the collective unrest of the world seeps into your spirit. The deeper your awareness grows, the more you realize that awakening doesn't just open your eyes, it opens your entire nervous system to the vibration of life itself. At first, it feels noble to carry it all, to heal, to help, to feel everything deeply. You think that being compassionate means being available for everyone's pain, but soon you realize there's a fine line between empathy and energetic collapse. Compassion without boundaries drains you. Love without discernment depletes you. The truth is, your heart expands faster than your body can handle. Your energy system isn't used to processing that much emotion at once, so you begin to confuse awareness with responsibility. You believe that because you feel someone's pain, you're meant to fix it. That's where exhaustion begins. You start waking up tired even when you've rested. Crowds make you uneasy. Loud environments feel like chaos vibrating in your bones. You crave solitude not because you dislike people, but because you need silence to breathe. It's not weakness. It's spiritual overstimulation. The awakened empath must learn what most never do. Feeling deeply doesn't mean carrying everything. You can witness suffering without absorbing it. You can radiate healing without draining yourself. You can love fiercely without losing your center. To master empathy is to transform it from burden to brilliance. You begin to understand that energy flows both ways, and just as you can receive others' emotions, you can also transmit peace. Your presence becomes medicine when you learn to hold energy instead of absorbing it. That shift happens when you learn boundaries, not walls, but filters. You start grounding yourself through breath, nature, and solitude. You cleanse your energy through stillness and awareness. You stop saying yes to every emotional plea and start protecting your frequency. Some will misunderstand this as coldness, but it's the opposite. It's wisdom. You realize that drowning with someone helps no one. A true healer remains above the water, anchored, centered, radiant. You also learn to turn your empathy inward. The same tenderness you give the world, you finally give yourself. You stop shaming your sensitivity and start honoring it as proof of your depth. You learn that empathy isn't weakness, it's spiritual technology. It allows you to see beyond words, to sense truth, to connect with the divine pulse in others. But to sustain that gift, you must manage it. You must become a vessel, not a victim. When the world feels heavy, you remind yourself, not everything I feel belongs to me. You let the energy pass through instead of letting it root inside. You breathe, release, and return to center. Over time, empathy evolves from something that breaks you to something that empowers you. You stop feeling overwhelmed by the pain around you because you've learned to transmute it. You walk into rooms and bring peace instead of absorbing chaos. You stop reacting to energy and start directing it. That's the mastery of an awakened empath, not shutting down, but standing strong in love without being consumed by it. Your empathy is your sword, but it's also your armor. Used consciously, it heals. Used unconsciously, it hurts. The difference lies in awareness. So honor your sensitivity, but master your energy. Because the world doesn't need more people who feel everything. It needs more people who can transform what they feel into light. 4. Being misunderstood for their peace. One of the quietest pains of awakening is being misunderstood. Not because you've done something wrong, but because your stillness unsettles others. When you finally find inner calm, people who live in chaos can't read you. Your peace becomes a mirror, and what it reflects often disturbs them. You'll notice it, the way your silence gets labeled as arrogance, your detachment mistaken for indifference. People project their own discomfort onto you because they don't understand what they can't control. They expect reaction, drama, validation, but you've outgrown all that. You no longer play in the emotional theater of the ego, and to those still acting in it, your stillness feels threatening. But here's the truth. Your peace isn't arrogance. It's mastery. It's the result of countless internal wars, shadow work, heartbreaks, and ego deaths. You didn't stumble into serenity. You earned it through fire. You learned to stop reacting, to stop explaining, to stop defending yourself to people who were never trying to understand you. Spiritual maturity brings a silence that speaks louder than words. You stop wasting energy on proving your truth because you know truth doesn't need validation. You stop chasing to be heard because you've realized that peace is louder than persuasion. And when people can't provoke you anymore, they start to imagine things about you that you think you're better, that you're distant, that you've changed. And they're right, you have changed. You've outgrown the need to explain chaos to those who thrive in it. You've stopped participating in cycles of emotional noise. You've realized that not every argument needs a response, and not every opinion deserves your energy. But that level of stillness unnerves people. They expect reaction, and when they don't get it, they call it coldness. What they don't see is the discipline behind your peace, the self-control it takes to stay calm in a world addicted to conflict. Your calm reveals what others have yet to confront in themselves. Your peace exposes their restlessness. Your detachment exposes their dependency. Your composure under pressure makes them realize how much of their identity is built on emotional chaos. That's why peace is often lonely, because the more tranquil you become, the less you fit into the noise. The awakened walk through life like still water, clear, deep, and untouchable. Those drowning in the current can't understand how you float so effortlessly. But your peace is not a performance, it's a vibration. It's not indifference, it's presence. You're no longer pulled into every storm because you've learned that storms only have power if you enter them. And yes, you'll lose people because of this. Some will leave because they can't manipulate your energy anymore. Others will fade because your frequency no longer feeds their chaos. Let them, because peace isn't about keeping everyone, it's about keeping yourself. Eventually, you'll realize that being misunderstood is a sign of evolution. You're no longer living for interpretation. You're living in truth. You'll stop explaining your stillness and start protecting it. You'll understand that your peace was never meant to be understood. It was meant to be felt. Because the awakened don't need to prove their light, they radiate it. So when people misread your calm, don't defend it. Let your silence speak. Those meant to understand, you will feel your energy without needing your explanation. Those who don't are simply not meant to meet you at that level yet. Your peace is your power. Your detachment is your freedom. And your stillness, misunderstood as it may be, is proof that you've transcended the noise that used to consume you. Because true strength isn't in how loud you are when attacked. It's in how quiet you remain when truth no longer needs your defense. 5. Questioning their own sanity during transformation. Spiritual awakening doesn't just change what you see, it changes who is seeing. It tears apart the identity you've built your entire life around and asks the most unsettling question. Who am I, really? At first, this feels liberating, like a rush of clarity after years of fog. But soon, the ground beneath your reality begins to crumble. The beliefs you swore by start to feel hollow. The goals you chased lose their meaning. You begin to question everything, your purpose, your relationships, even your own mind. And in that unraveling, the line between awakening and insanity feels terrifyingly thin. This is the dark night of the soul, the stage where awakening stops feeling divine and starts feeling destructive. You're not just shedding ideas, you're shedding identities. The you who loved certain things, who feared certain outcomes, who believed certain truths, begins to die. What's left in the middle of that death is emptiness, silence, and the haunting question, if I'm not who I thought I was, then what am I? Most people panic here. The ego, desperate to survive, screams for answers. It calls this unraveling madness because it cannot comprehend its own dissolution. You start to wonder if you're losing your mind, but in truth, you're losing your illusions. What feels like death is really rebirth, but it doesn't feel that way when you're in it. Days blur, emotions swing between clarity and confusion. You feel everything and nothing at once. You start to see the world not as solid, but as energy, and that shift can make reality feel unstable. You question your faith, your memories, even your perception of time. The walls of your inner house are collapsing, and all that's left is space. That space is sacred, though it feels unbearable. It's the void between the old self and the new. The caterpillar doesn't know it's becoming a butterfly. It only knows that it's dissolving. You too must dissolve before you can rise. This phase tests everything, your trust, your courage, your grip on meaning, but it's not madness. It's awakening at its rawest form, the stripping away of falsehood until only truth remains. And truth at first feels like chaos. The spiritual path is full of paradoxes. You lose your identity to find your essence. You fall apart to come together. You walk through darkness to remember the light. Those who don't understand this think awakening is supposed to feel blissful. But enlightenment isn't an escape from the human experience. It's the full confrontation of it. As your old self dies, your consciousness expands beyond ego. and you begin to realize that the you've been trying to protect never really existed. It was just a mask, a role, a collection of stories and labels. The awareness behind it, however, has always been eternal. Eventually, after the storm, clarity returns. Slowly, the chaos begins to settle. You start seeing through new eyes, not as a person lost in the play, but as the awareness observing it. You no longer need constant control or validation because you understand that everything, even confusion, has divine purpose. You realize you were never going insane. You were simply outgrowing the limits of your old mind. The ego called it madness because it couldn't comprehend infinity. And when that truth finally lands, peace returns, not the peace of ignorance, but the peace of understanding. You realize that awakening doesn't destroy you. It destroys what was never truly you. So if you ever find yourself questioning your sanity on this path, breathe. You're not broken, you're being rebuilt. The void you feel isn't emptiness, it's expansion. The confusion isn't a curse, it's a crossing. Because before you awaken into light, you must first face the collapse of everything false. And though it feels like you're falling apart, you're really just falling into truth. Spiritual awakening is not a destination, it's a dismantling. It strips away every illusion, every false identity, and every comfortable lie you once lived by. It burns away the noise until only truth remains raw, unfiltered, and often lonely. Yes, it's beautiful, but it's also brutal. You lose what's false before you find what's real. You outgrow people, detach from places, and question everything, even your own sanity. You crave depth in a world addicted to surface. And that can feel like walking through life on another frequency entirely. But that disconnection isn't failure, it's evolution. You're not losing the world, you're finding your soul. You're not broken, you're being rebuilt. Every collapse, every silent night, every lonely transformation is forging the clarity, peace, and power your higher self always carried. One day you'll look back and realize that what felt like falling apart was actually falling into truth, that the chaos was initiation, that the loneliness was refinement. That awakening didn't destroy you, it revealed you. So if the world feels foreign and your path feels empty, walk it anyway. You're not meant to fit in, you're meant to light the way. If this message spoke to you, subscribe to Motivation Guru, join the Guru Clan, where we rise together, awaken deeper, and build strength in silence. Your solitude isn't the end, it's the beginning of your becoming.